everybody, and welcome to the last women's soccer show of 2022. As always, I'm Ali.
And I'm Sarah. We are very excited to take a break, but we're also going to miss all of you doing this. Today, we've got a WSL half-season roundup, which is going to be a blast. We're doing like a massive, comprehensive, around the world, all of the updates you could possibly ask for. And to cap it all off, we've got an interview with the one, the only, Julie Foudy. You heard us right. Julie Foudy is here. Let's do this. We're doing a 2022 WSL roundup here. So let's just get right into it, Ali. It's been fun so far, these first 10 game days. So far, for you, which team is exceeding your expectations?
Okay, I'm going to declare my bias now, but I am going to say West Ham. And the only reason I'm saying that is, well, there's many reasons, but the big thing is, if you look at our preseason, we had a dire preseason. We were losing to teams that were 2-3 leagues below us. We lost 5-0 to Liverpool. We were losing players left, right, and centre. It was a bad preseason, and pretty much everybody at the beginning of the season said they're going to be fighting relegation. They're going to be fighting relegation. That's it. It's too tough. We finished 2022 fifth in the league. We've got 3 points between us and Villa. Granted, they have a game in hand. We've beat teams that we weren't supposed to beat. We're playing some really nice football. So I'm going to say that I think West Ham has been the surprise for most pundits.
I can't call you biased because I agree. I think it was towards the end of last season, and you and Helen were both on the podcast saying West Ham are going to finish. I think you both said like top 4, which is, that was pushing it. And I was like, absolutely not. And so far, I will say West Ham has definitely proven me wrong. They've been playing some great football.
What about yourself? Who's been surprising you in a good way?
A couple teams stood out for me, but I'm going to have to go with Aston Villa, the team sitting just below West Ham right now. And it's because I think I've chosen this for many reasons. Number one, people might forget that this team was fighting relegation not 2 seasons ago. Just barely hung on and stayed in the WSL. And then it was a very meh season last year. And they have been playing not only some good football, but getting some surprising results. And I think of everyone, it's Aston Villa. I'm going to throw big up myself and say maybe it's less of a surprise for me because I feel like I knew what Rachel Daly was going to bring to Villa. But I think to pundits at large, it's probably Villa. Me, personally, I'm going to throw in as well Manchester United. And that's going to seem like a what the heck kind of statement, but United shouldn't be challenging for the top spot like they are right now. And they are challenging. They can challenge Arsenal. They can challenge Chelsea. We all thought that they would be fighting for third, but they're in third. They are fighting for 2 and 1. And that is a surprise. Ali, we've done 10 games. We're at the close of 2022. Do you still have the same team picked to win the entire league?
Yeah, I've picked Chelsea. And it pains me. It pains me as a West Ham fan to say this. But I just can't see them.
Yeah.
I can't see where they're going to slip up.
I definitely can. I actually think Chelsea is more vulnerable in the league than they almost ever have been. It is so clear that they are focused on Champions League. It's Champions League above all. And the further they get in Champions League, number one, the more wear and tear is going to be on all of those players' bodies. And number two, the more they're going to have to split their mental capacity. And frankly, at some point, something is going to have to give. And I really do think that they will become even more and more vulnerable. I think that they are sitting atop the table, but are they playing the type of football that we necessarily see all the time from Chelsea? No, not always. There's chinks in the armor. We saw it from the first game of the season. Did we not? So not only do I think that they're the more vulnerable, they're also super vulnerable to the team that I have picked to win, which is Arsenal. But to stay on Chelsea for a second,
the thing is, though, I would have said that. I would have said that last season, and then you look how they came back. You look how they pipped Arsenal to the post by that 1 point. And I feel like there's more fatigue in Arsenal than there is in Chelsea.
Fatigue or injury?
No, I say fatigue because we look at the game that just happened, which was against Villa. They went down to Villa super early. They went down to West Ham super early. After having this like great unbeaten streak. Yeah, they managed to turn it around and beat both teams, but they look tired. They look uninspired because they are missing key people because of injury. But I would say that the fatigue with Champions League is going to wear on more on Arsenal because Chelsea have got the depth. Chelsea have got 3 players for each position. Arsenal barely have 1 player for each position.
Yeah, the injuries, that's why I say injuries or fatigue, because for me it's more injuries. Without the injuries, Arsenal have that depth as well. That's an interesting point because it's like the plight of any Arsenal fan, because too many times I feel like they start the season strong and then it dips, and then they have to claw their way back up and see what they can manage at the end of the season. And right now it's about mitigating that dip. I will say, though, for Chelsea, like we are seeing fatigue. Chelsea went up 3-0 to Reading this past weekend and then conceded 2 goals in the second half, back to back. If that's not fatigue, I don't know what is. Chelsea as a team doesn't collapse mentally like that unless it comes from fatigue. So yes, there's wear and tear on Arsenal, but to me, the mentality of Chelsea is different this year, and I think that there are holes to punch. From the top to the bottom, unfortunately, I think we both have the same answer to this, but based on what's happening, do you have the same answer for who you think will be getting relegated this season?
No, because I picked Aston Villa, and I was wrong.
Yeah, you were.
I was very wrong. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be Leicester. Just unless they can have like a dynamic transfer window in January, because that's what happened last season. They've already changed managers. I think they've made the wrong choice in new manager. Willie Kirk is not a proven manager. He did all right at Everton and then got fired for very bad results at Everton. They lost like 5-6 on the bounce in the beginning of the season. He was Casey Stoney's right-hand man for a brief period. And so he's just not a manager that is going to inspire a lot of people, I don't think, So I think they've made the wrong choice there. So unless they can get some like absolutely superstar talent, particularly in defence for Leicester, then that's it. They're done. Like, I can't see because they're currently 7 points adrift. I can't see where they're going to pick up 3 wins.
Yeah. That's the problem, is that they've fallen too far to dig themselves out. And right now, as much as they dig, it actually is on Brighton and Reading falling, or maybe even Liverpool, rather than Leicester City digging themselves out. That's really what it's on.
Yeah, and I can't see where they're going to get those 3 wins from. I just can't.
I mean, there's so many. You just mentioned 2 key issues. Number 1, the coach, and number 2, some defending, right? So let's say, hypothetically, Leicester had 4 points right now. Let's say they had a win and a tie. They're only sitting 3 points. It looks like they can potentially climb out of relegation. What are moves that they need to make right now? Because they can't just say it's over. They need to fight and try to improve and climb out. What do they need to do that?
Okay, so, and I mean, there's no disrespect to the current one they've got. They need a better goalkeeper, because based on from when I've watched Leicester play, Demi Lambourne makes some stupid schoolboy errors. They are like very basic errors. And I think, again, it's to do with lack of experience and things like that. But there was a point, say, obviously my experience is when they played West Ham, but we could have been 3-0 up because she was like juggling the ball over like she had no grip. She made a couple of punch saves, but I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or whatever. So I would get a more experienced keeper. Even if you have that experienced keeper as your number 2 to train and build up Lambourne, I would get another keeper. And you need a striker up front. They haven't got anybody up front. Like, have they scored they've scored 1 goal, I think, this season.
Was going to say, I believe that their goal differential is so bad right now because they've scored 2 goals this whole season.
Yeah, which you can't do that.
Yeah, you're going to get relegated if that happens. I'm going to also say that I think that there needs to be more consistency in a formation for Leicester City. There's too much changing of every single game. And look, in a team that knows each other well, you can change your formation and know that your goals are coming, know how to play with each other. When you're someone like Leicester City, you can't be going from like a 5-4-1 against Arsenal one weekend into, what did they play? They played something like a 4-5-1 against West Ham. You can't be, and then like a 4-3-3 against Chelsea. You can't be doing that. You need consistency. You need to figure out where your goals are coming from. You need to let your players figure out how to work together, defend as a team, and do that within the system. I think that that's a big problem for them.
Yeah, like I'm looking at their squad now and they've got so many young players. Like they've just made a team out of youth, which is fine, which is fair enough. And they do have some experience in obviously Erin Simon, and they've got Abby McManus in there and stuff like that. But up front, they've got Jess Sigsworth, who they don't seem to be utilising at all. Which makes no sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever. Jess Sigsworth was one of the key players on Manchester United for Casey Stoney, and the fact that she is not getting consistent game time is absurd.
Yeah. So, still don't think Willie Kirk's the man for the job, but maybe he can pull off a miracle.
All right, moving from who's getting relegated, let's talk players. Who is your player of the season so far? Who's really stood out to you, blown your mind?
Probably, like, an obvious choice is Mary Earps, I think. Mary Earps has taken the confidence she had from the Euros win, and rather than getting complacent, like I can say a couple of players that were on that team have, she has come out and gone, right, you want to know why I'm England number one? This is why I'm England number one, and has been not only in her actual gameplay of saves and things like that, which is what she's meant to do as a goalkeeper, but you watch Mary Earps and how she controls her back line. Doesn't matter who is in front of her, whether she's got a 3-4-5, she's in charge of that back line. And it is one of the most glorious things to watch, unless you're the opponent, because she doesn't shut up. She's constantly getting them to move. She's directing the team, and it's just, it's fabulous.
Mary Earps has leveled up, which is wild because she was already just top tier, and she has fully leveled up. The Manchester Derby, when we got to see some beautiful saves on either end, it was Ellie Roebuck, Mary Earps, Ellie Roebuck, Mary Earps. It was like back to back to back, incredible saves. That was a blast. I'm going to call out somebody who I've already called out multiple times already this season, but I still, for some reason, don't understand why she doesn't get the props she deserves over in England, and that is Rachel Daly. She is tied for the most goals scored. She is sitting just one behind Bunny Shaw, I believe, for assists. She is carrying Aston Villa not only in goals, but also as the team leader on the field, mentally, emotionally. She clearly is the difference maker. There's obviously other factors, but she's the one who's really come in and been like, right, this is what we're doing. This is the type of team we are mentally, emotionally. This is our fortitude. And she needs to get the props she deserves. All right, our final category. Highlight so far of the season up until now, Allie.
It's got to be last Sunday with West Ham beating Tottenham at Tottenham. As a fan, that was just one of the sweetest moments ever, because we have played them 4 times at their ground. No, 5 now. 5 times at their ground.
Mm-hmm.
We've only ever managed to get a point up until last Sunday. And not only to beat them, but to beat them so convincingly on their own turf. It was beautiful. But as a neutral, I have to say the Arsenal-Man U game. The Arsenal-Man U game.
It was a blast. It was a great game.
One of the best games of football I've ever seen. As a neutral, when I didn't have a horse in that race, I was just like standing on edge.
I'm going to agree with Arsenal and Man U, and I'm just going to say Liverpool beating Chelsea to kick off the season. I just love that that's how we started the season. It was a very much like, this is how this is going to go this year. And I really think that that's going to come back around.
What of the first day of the season period? Because that's when Aston Villa beat Man City, which nobody saw.
Yeah, there were so many things. And now everybody had their moment like, okay, this is really up for grabs this year. And it is. Let's go around the world.
Starting with France, the big game between Lyon and PSG took place on Sunday, and it was PSG who took the 3 points with a 1-0 victory. Diani scored in the 87th minute to give PSG the victory and steal all points from Lyon. PSG now sit first, but only 1 point between them and second place Lyon. Paris FC have been the rising star so far, sitting in third with 21 points. Division 1 will restart January 14th.
Over to Germany, the Frauen-Bundesliga. Wolfsburg sit comfortably atop the table, 5 points ahead of second place Bayern Munich. Bayern sit only 2 points ahead of rising Eintracht Frankfurt, but all three top teams came out with a win this past weekend. Coming off a short rest because of Champions League, Wolfsburg and Bayern still managed to get wins of 3-0 and 2-0 respectively. The Frauen-Bundesliga has a longer break and starts again in February.
The Scottish Women's Premier League is one of the few that is not done playing yet. They will finish out 2022 with the final games in December the 18th. Glasgow City sit in first place, but it's second place Rangers that are fighting harder. It didn't play last weekend. It was the Scottish Cup, which Rangers beat Hibs to take the title. Rangers have a goal difference of 57, scoring 58 in 12 games and just conceding the one.
Over to Australia, the A-League is also yet to wrap up for the year with the final 2022 games on Friday, December 16th. There are 4 teams tied in the number 1 spot with 9 points right now. Melbourne City, Sydney, Western United, and Adelaide United. However, Melbourne City and Western United both have a game in hand. Unfortunately, the biggest news out of Australia this past weekend was not about any of the actual games, but rather the disrespect of the sprinkler system being turned on seconds after the final whistle, while players were still receiving treatment on the field. Check out our News in 10 segment on our Patreon for more on that.
Over to Spain. Top of the table clashes this past weekend saw Levante take on Sociedad and Real Madrid take on Atletico. Levante won 4-3 against Sociedad in a thrilling game, which included a 89th minute own goal by Levante and a 99th minute by Sociedad. Real Madrid beat Atletico 1-0 to remain in second place, just 2 points above Levante. Final games for La Liga 2022 is this Saturday, the 17th.
And finally, wrapping it all up, Italy. It was a top-of-the-table clash between number 1 Roma and number 2 Juventus on Sunday. Juventus took 3 points back from Roma, winning 4-2 in a thrilling back-and-forth game. Despite the win, Roma still sit in first place in the table, just 3 points ahead of Juventus now.
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
Please enjoy this interview with Julie Foudy. Hello, Julie.
My video. There we go.
There we
Hi.
go. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. How are you?
We're doing great. Really excited to chat with you. Thanks for being on.
No worries. No
Nice
worries
hat
at
you
all.
have there.
I did have
Wait.
to rock my Angel City.
Of course. We're really excited to chat with you. It was so funny when this came across our inbox because I actually met Gwendolyn back in like 2014, I think it was, when she had made the movie Pelada.
Yeah.
And just randomly I
good.
got to go. It was so good. Oh my God. I
Uh-huh.
was like, I feel like I'm watching about my life right now. And I randomly got to go. She set up this whole thing for people to go play soccer with her at a prison somewhere like outside of LA. So I got to go spend the day playing soccer in a prison with her, and it was amazing. So when this came across
Oh,
our
no
inbox, I was
way.
like, "This is so exciting!" I'm a fan of both of them.
Aw. Gwendolyn is the best writer too.
Oh
When
yeah,
they said they had Gwen, I was like, yes.
Yep.
You were in.
Well, we're really pumped to talk to you about this book. So, Julie, I'm going to turn the tables on you for a second because I know that on your podcast and just historically, you ask people to set the scene to kick things off. So I've got to turn the tables and say, Julie Foudy, will you please set the scene for us here? And welcome to the Women's Soccer Show.
Do you know where that came from? We don't explain it that often on our podcast, but it came from back in the day when I would have the camera with the 99ers.
Mhm.
And we shot a ton of stuff on this little, handheld video camera I had, and because it was pre-cell phones, that's how old we are. I am not we collectively. And so I used to say to the players all the time, set the scene, set the scene. And so that's how we always start the podcast as well. I am at my house in Southern California and ferociously trying to get ready for the holidays, which is always fun. And just actually closed out our season 8 of our podcast today and trying to wrap up and tie a bow on a couple things. But the holiday craziness ensues. We had 2 parties in 3 days this weekend, which is always good fun with my son's birthday and another basketball party. So yeah, full
Great.
swing.
It's good fun, and then you're exhausted afterwards, and you're like, why did I do that?
I end up just, cleaning the house for like 3 days.
Yeah, which is also kind of cathartic.
The reason we got you on is for this book, which I have to say, as an English person, I am very much more aware of the Lionesses and the England team, but this book gave me such an insight to a team that I'm aware of rather than a fan of.
We'll turn you into a fan, Al.
You know what? That's what I said. I told Allie, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell Julie that this actually turned them into a fan. And now it's officially U.S. women's national team over Lionesses.
We have to convert you Brits. It takes a while.
Yeah, we do. After the Alex Morgan teacup celebration, you're going to go a long way before you're going to...
Have a sense of humor, Allie, okay?
Allie, we will skip over that picture in the book.
Yes, I was aware when I was reading through. I was like, it's massive, and I'm like, and I'm done
it's
now.
A big one. It's a full pager. It might be a full pager.
It's definitely a full pager. Allie actually texted me, was like, okay, well, I don't like page 123 or whatever it was. I was like, let me flip to that. Oh yeah, that checks out. Well, I mean, as somebody who grew up here, I just absolutely love the book. It was fun. It was informative. As somebody who feels like they know almost everything about the U.S. women's national team, I felt like I still learned. Like, I had no idea what the first Women's World Cup was called, the M&M Cup. Disappointing, but also fun fact. Yeah,
fun fact. M&M Mars Cup. Let's go. Whenever we have like some fun competition, like just this past weekend, I was in North Carolina calling Final Four for women's collegiate soccer, and Mia Hamm was there, and so we were doing a pickleball tournament for her foundation separately. We were playing, and so she coined it the M&M Mars Pickleball Championship.
That's so great.
We constantly bring it back.
Well, I have to ask.
The Cup is not going away.
The most important question about that pickleball tournament is, did you win?
Okay, so full disclosure, I have been talking about this tournament because I'm a pickleball fanatic for honestly, years. So we put this whole tournament together with the women's lacrosse coach at University of North Carolina, who just won a national title and a world championship. She's also the USA lacrosse coach, Jenny Levy. And Anson Dorrance, who's the women's college coach at UNC for soccer, and all these, and Mia and Heather O'Reilly and all these national teamers. And the day before the damn pickleball tournament, I happened to go on a run before I was calling these semifinal games, and I stepped on a branch and broke my toe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, twisted, rolled on the branch, and I rolled off of it over my ankle. And so I just twisted my ankle. I'll be fine. I can play pickleball. And my old trainer on the national team lives in North Carolina, and he's like, you broke that thing. It's too black and blue for it not to be broken. Come in and get an x-ray. So I got an x-ray in the morning, and they're like, busted, broken right through the pinky. Anyway, so I did not get to play. So yeah, no, I did not win it.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I know we're not here to talk about broken bones, but if somebody has broken their pinky toe, it is way more painful than anybody actually thinks it is. Right? And you really can't walk on it.
No, you get this lovely, look at this lovely boot. Yeah.
Oh no. For the benefit of audio, Julie has just pulled up her massive boot. She might as well have torn her Achilles. It is such a massive boot. Anything.
But back to the book.
Yeah.
When you said, Allie, you mentioned it as well, that you learned a ton about the team. That's honestly the thing I love the most about it. I thought originally it would be a beautiful picture book, as we knew it was going to be, gorgeous photos, really well laid out. But the thing that I also love about it is you get all these decades of history. And we've never had a book like this for the women's team for the US team in one place. I don't know about the Lionesses if they have something like this, but it's all in one place. And Gwendolyn is such a fantastic writer that she weaves all the history and the stories and the backstories and gets all these great nuggets that I didn't even know into the book. And you learn, as Billie Jean King always tells us, know your history.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you learn about the history of this program and what it's valued for so many years. And that's why I was like, oh my gosh, it's all in one place finally, which hasn't been done.
Well, I think that just so perfectly leads on. And I guess if there's anything to add to this question, because I feel like you just answered it before you even got to ask it, but we wanted to know why it felt so important to you to write this, the forward to this book.
Because exactly that reason. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing like it. There's, you know, people have highlighted, you know, different eras of the national team, or, you know, the 99ers and our success with that World Cup, or the 19ers and the 2019 team that won, or I mean, so there's been snapshots done, of course, but nothing that gives the comprehensive history in such a beautiful way, both visually and with, you know, Gwendolyn's writing. So that's why when they asked me to do it, and I know the editors really well. I knew, you know, David Hershey and Roger Director, both were the two editors on this who have been in the game forever covering soccer, and they understand it and get it. So I just knew it was going to be done well.
Awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. And you actually bring up a very key person in my next question, which is Billie Jean King. You quote in your forward, Foudy, what are you players doing about it? What are you all doing? Speak up, stand up, you have the power. Why was it important for you to include that quote? And why do you think that there has always been this intersectionality between women's sports that we haven't really seen historically in men's sports in the same way?
Yeah. Well, because I don't think, Allie, men have had to fight like we've had to fight for for just, you know, the most basic of things, you know. And so, you know, Billie Jean, for people who don't follow the history of our US women's national team, and we've been fighting, people sometimes have heard of obviously what's happened more recently with equal pay fight and them achieving that equal pay with their most recent collective bargaining agreement, which is fantastic. But it goes back a good 2 decades to when I met Billie Jean King at a function in the mid 90s. So longer than 2 decades, almost 3 decades, met her and was hearing her story about tennis and how they broke away from the men's tour. And I said to her in that moment, oh my gosh, this sounds like what we're fighting for and have been fighting for. And by then we'd only been on the team, you know, 7, 8 years, and didn't know what was ahead of us in terms of the battles that we would have to rage. And I said, I can't get anyone to pay attention to what we want. We're getting $10 a day in per diem, and it's not enough. And we're not asking for millions. We're not even asking for equal pay. We're asking for equitable pay. Just, you know, give us something that's fair. Right. And she's like, well, what are you doing about it? You as players, you have the power. That's when she gave me that speech. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Do we? I don't know if we have the power. Yes, you do. Gather the team together and get them together. And that was the first time I was actually flying into a camp. We were signing the next national team contract, which would give us still $10 a day per diem and no money other than that. And people were graduating from college and thinking like, I can't sustain this. I can't be on the road for 6 months a year on $10 a day and pay for rent and pay for whatever they're doing in life without getting a second job. And then that wouldn't allow them to continue to play. And so that was really the catalyst to us starting and waging that battle for, back then it was equitable pay. Now it, of course, was equal pay, as it should be. And Billie Jean was instrumental in all of that and starting that. And the best thing about Billie is she's stayed a dear friend with all of us for many years now. She would check in all the time with me and say, where are you? What's happening? You know, all the time. It wasn't like, good luck. It's really hard. Peace out. Talk to you in 7 years and see if you got it done. She would check in monthly and be like, all right, what's happening? How are we? Where are we? What do you need? This is what we did. This is what we learned. This is where I think you should go. And that's what I honestly love about this team, which is another thing which I wanted to get across in the forward is that intersectionality, as you talked about, of not just wanting to win, but knowing that you had a platform to change, you know, really equal rights, human rights, things that we care deeply about in a way that hadn't been seen before.
Yeah, well, I mean, Julie, you bring up kind of what we also wanted to talk to you about, which is the U.S. women's national team culture, because I feel like in the forward that you wrote, it just so perfectly sets up the through line or the undertone of the rest of the book, and that through line being kind of that of the U.S. women's national team culture. You wrote, I loved a quote you wrote. You said, "quote treating the podium as not just a place to celebrate, but also a platform." And I read that and it reminded me of a quote actually from Kristen Press from an interview that I was just randomly watching in the depths of, huddled in my room in 2020. um, and she said, the identity of the team, you take it with you. And every time you play, you have it there. So it's not something that is lost. It's something that we all carry with us. And
Yeah.
you really got that through in the forward. So we wanted to ask you, how do you feel like you carry the U.S. women's national team culture yourself now in your daily life still?
Yeah. Well, it's a constant presence about sisterhood and not just, I mean, what has always resonated for me with this team that I carry with me every day is it's not just about being the best version of you, right? That is so important to this team being successful. You had to come in fit, you had to come in ready, you had to take care of yourself, you had to make good decisions, good habits, good discipline, all those things that we know you need as an athlete. But you also, and almost more importantly, you had to be a good human. You had to be someone that cared deeply about leaving the game in a better place and about respecting teammates and being a good teammate. And, all those leadership lessons that, again, cross over between sports and life. And that I think, it's the gift really of sport. And I learned it by sharing that gift and learning that gift with all these rad women around me who daily showed me like, oh yeah, hell yes, I'm going to compete and go crazy and fight and scrap and kick you and kick, as Michelle Akers used to say to the young kids, we'll kick the shit out of you when you get on the field, but then we're going to wrap our arm around you and hug you after, right? And take care of you. So it was this great dichotomy of being so intense and so competitive and pushing the partner next to you to be better. But then at the end of it all, like hugging it out and saying how much you cared for that person. Because if they knew that you cared, they felt valued. And that was the strength of that group. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's just such a great daily lesson for everything you do in life about showing gratitude, about working your ass off, and good things will happen when you then take care of the people around you as well. It's not just about your success, it's about turning and pulling and helping others through. So, I mean, what a foundation to
Yeah.
have that every day and be surrounded by those types of people. And that's, what we valued. We valued that and didn't lose sight of that and the importance of that. And it's the common thread really that runs through all of the national team is that each group, and we've been really successful with each group passing it on, is this is what this team's about. This is what matters. This is the DNA of this team. This is the fabric of this team. And you hear them all talk about it, which to this day, it's almost maternal. You're like, oh, my baby's all grown up, but she gets it.
Yeah, I feel like Gwendolyn did a really great job making that the through line of the book. Like we're learning a lot throughout, but that's really the undertone. You said Michelle Akers' name, and it just reminded me of this great part of the book where Gwendolyn was saying that your nickname for her is not just yours, but the team called her Mufasa,
Yes.
not just for her
Lion King.
hair, but also for her like personality.
Yeah.
What part of her personality led to the name
She
Mufasa?
is the lion through
Yeah.
and through. I mean, she just roars when she played. Literally, I mean, the thing about Michelle too, and it just makes me so sad because young kids don't know Michelle like they should, because I think she's the greatest female footballer to ever play. Because she was just a beast. I mean, tall, so 6 foot tall, so technical, so tactical, and then could like score both feet in the air from distance, up close. Like she just had every box checked. And usually, you get a large number of boxes checked. You don't check every box. She had speed, she had all of it, physical. And on top of it, she was a warrior. She would leave. I would joke like, "Hey, I think you left a couple teeth out there on the field, or bone chips, or hey, your right arm is still dangling out there." Um, and to the point where of all players on the team, she got what's called Epstein-Barr, which is chronic fatigue, which means the more you train, the tireder you get, the more tired you get. And so it was this almost, it was so ironic because of the person who trained the hardest got it. And like, she wanted to train all the time. She was always out there shooting balls, hitting balls, working on stuff. But the more she did that, the more fatigued she got. And so she had to back off, and she had to learn to back off. And so the last few years of her career were spent with me saying to her, back off, back the fuck off. You got to slow it down. You got to pace it down. You got to have to kind of monitor yourself, which for a person that wants to go 100 miles per hour every day, all the time, is really hard to do. But I would look at her because she couldn't self-regulate. I would look at her and I'd be like, too much, too much. And she'd look at me and growl like that. I'd be like, no, pace yourself. We need you. We need you on the field. Pace it. So
we all have those people in our lives who just can't self-regulate.
No.
We love them for it.
No, and and so she was a lion through and through, and it's what we loved about her. You had to literally, and they did in the '99 final, drag her off the field. She had, she got concussed and hit in the head, and watched the rest of the game on an IV from underneath the stadium. So, and that's what I love again about this book, is you learn about women like that aren't there. There's not enough out there on them. There's not enough about the original national team of the 80s, even before my time, and what those women went through and did and all of that. So that's another thing I love.
So yeah, we're going to switch up a little bit. So looking through this book, we have a Patreon show, as our regular listeners will know, called Fits and Kits, where we talk about the kits around the world and the fits of the pre-game. Along with being super informative, this book has got some incredible behind-the-scenes photos, especially of the early days in the 80s and the 90s. Were there anything in that book where you went, oh, please don't put that in, or I can't believe that we wore that's currently in the book?
I don't know if you know this, Allie, but I am not a fashion icon. I know that's hard to believe, but there's, really nothing is off the limits with me. I don't really care what's out there. I'm not. I mean, I will say, like, sometimes when they show pictures of my hair that gives me another 3 inches straight up, my short hair, I'm like, maybe it would have been good if I brushed that every once in a while. But yeah, no, I actually love the ridiculousness of some of those old photos and like the things you're wearing. And then the jerseys that were like so big, mostly because they were men's hand-me-downs, but they were like 3/4 sleeves. That wasn't by design. They were supposed to be regular sleeves. We were wearing men's old jerseys, no joke, back in the day. So I think it's fun for the current iteration of players to see some of that. When I cover the women's national team nowadays, like at the 2019 World Cup, I walk on to the practice pitch before one of their World Cup practices, and the equipment guy rolls out with this huge suitcase, and it was all their boots, and they were all clean and in their little pockets. And I said, you have got to be effing. You roll the boots out for them? He's like, yeah. It's like, oh my God. So yes, clothes have changed, ways of doing things have changed, but it's all good.
So who was the fashionista then? If it wasn't you, who was the fashionista of your team?
I feel like I have a guess, but it might be wrong.
I would say Brandy was one, and Tiffany Roberts. TR, we called her, who was on the '99 team, and she didn't start. She was she was on, I think, as well, 96 or 2000, I can't remember. But TR was like the one that you put on, Hegarisa of Norway, because she wouldn't let her touch the ball. Again, she was just like this little wispy gnat that always like bugged and defended and would be in your face. But yeah, Tiffany Roberts, or probably, Brandy will love me for saying that. She was.
Throw a bone there.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Julie, we always, when we have a former player or a current player on, we always end with the same question. So I want to ask you, and this can be either about your playing career or your broadcast career now. what is a good both and moment from your career when you both worked really hard and got really lucky?
I got a lot of those. I think that's pretty much my entire career. But people would probably say, oh, she's going to say 1999 because we did a lot of both and there. But it was actually 2004 Olympics. That was our last Olympics for our, as we call ourselves, the old bags group. And so Mia's last Olympics, my last Olympics, Joy's last Olympics, Brandy's last Olympics, Christine Lilly, did she play in another Olympics? I can't remember. Anyways, we were all retiring and we were in our 30s, 33, 32. But we'd played on the national team for like 20 years and we knew this was it. And so we were playing a really good Brazil team in the final with Marta and Christiane, but Marta when she was in her like early 20s, right? Like Marta in her prime, Christiane in her prime. I mean, you go through the list of all these players they had. Formiga was in not her 10th World Cup she's played, but her second. And so we play them in the final and like they're hitting the post, they're hitting the crossbar. They're young and they're good. And it was the best Brazilian team I've seen. It was their best chance, honestly, of winning their first world title, which they still, I can't believe, haven't won. And we just gutted it out. We worked hard and we got lucky. And we had Abby Wambach and Lindsay Tarpley, two young studs on the team, score the goals that got us the gold medal. And I don't know how we pulled that one out of our bums, but we were able to win that Olympic gold medal. And honestly, that's like the biggest gift because if I had retired not winning, I told my husband I would be a starts with a B for the rest of our marriage and relationship, and that would be it. So he was very happy that we won that Olympic gold.
I love that you bring up the 2004 because there's some great photos of that in the book and some great quotes from Abby Wambach about that also. So I love that you bring that up.
Yeah, that goal she scored, tremendous.
Which leads us to our very last question, which we ask everybody, which is World Cup or Olympics? As a player, which is your favorite?
No explanation needed if you don't want. You
World
can just
Cup.
World Cup. All right.
Do you get a lot of Olympics? I mean, Olympics are magical for sure, but a World Cup's all soccer. It's all football. I'm sorry,
We've
football.
definitely gotten, I know, I feel like I say it 50-50. And whenever I say soccer, I get daggers from Allie.
Yeah. Right.
We definitely get more World Cup. That's for sure. We've gotten a couple Olympics. I think the last one we got, Allie made such a face that the player we were interviewing was like, well, what did I do wrong here, Allie? Like, come on.
Who was the player?
I think it was Aaron Simon, actually. He plays for Leicester City right now.
Yeah. No, Alicia Ferguson was very much
you
Olympics.
had Ishan?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
love
we
me
did.
some Ish.
Yes, she was
Go ahead,
because
Allie.
it was Australia's Olympics, so she was very much
right, in 2000. Okay, so I get that. That Olympics, by the way, oh my God, that was the best. Oof. I found out when we lost, I mean, not the best because we lost. So it was actually the most painful Olympics I've been a part of. We got white gold, I call it. We should have beat damn Norway in the final. So we lost to Norway in the final. We should have never lost to them.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't stand
a little self-soothing with the white gold. So you still got gold, but you can call it white gold.
But what I discovered, I had not seen my family. All my family, of course, wanted to go to Australia. And I had a bunch of friends there. And I mean, all these people were like, yes, we're going to this Olympics. I hadn't seen them the entire time. I'm like, where have you been? Like, how come I haven't seen you? Every time I'd be like, hey, you want to hang out? They're like, oh no, we're at the Friends and Family AT&T house on Sydney Harbor. So I discovered this Sydney Harbor AT&T house that the U.S. team put together for all friends and family. So if you were a family member, a friend member, you could create a list and they all went there. It was free booze, free lobster, free everything, open bar, like 24/7 every day on Sydney Harbor.
And they're like, sorry, Julie, we missed the game. We were drinking.
Like didn't even come to games barely. They were like, no, we're not leaving.
Yeah, it's cool. They were
just
playing on the TV
themselves
here.
There for like 2 weeks. They did not leave. So when we lost and we showed up there, I was like, no one told me about this. I would think I would have actually lost earlier. I would have said, okay, peace out.
They were like, "Oh, you lost, Julie? We
Yeah.
didn't realize. Is that what we're here for?"
Yeah, they didn't even know.
Yeah.
How's your Olympics going?
Yeah.
We haven't left.
Oh, how'd you do? Oh, good. White gold. That's great.
It was the last AT&T Olympic house for friends and family they ever had because they spent so much money on it.
Maybe for a good reason. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last one. They went out with a bang though.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that brings us full circle because I'm glad your dad and your family made it to that Olympics since they didn't even care to go to the first one as you write in
Right.
your forward. We cannot thank you enough for coming on, Julie. I just have to shout out this book for anybody listening. Get this as a Christmas present for whoever is in your life, including yourself, who loves women's
Pride
soccer.
of a nation. Go
Yeah.
get it.
It's just it's beautiful. It's a blast to read. It's a great book. They've got best 11s of every decade. I love seeing Shannon Box in there, by the way. Everybody, please go get it. It's called Pride of the Nation, a celebration of the U.S. women's national soccer team. And Allie knows where you can get it.
Yep, you can get it from the publisher at Penguin, Random House, as well as anywhere else you buy a book. But also, excitingly, there is an audiobook which is narrated by Julie and the author Gwendolyn Oxenham, which I would say get the book because you're going to miss out on the pictures because the photography in this is gorgeous.
True. Yeah.
Couldn't agree
Good
more.
point,
Allie's
All
always
right,
coming in
party
hot with these
people.
great points. Thank you so much, Julie. It was great having you on.
No worries. So great to chat with you both.
You too.
Thank you very much.
And that is it, everybody, for the Women's Soccer Show 2022. We will be back January 11th, the Wednesday before the WSL returns.
Thank you, everybody, for listening this past year. We've had an absolutely amazing year, 2022. And check back for 2023, where we're only going to get bigger and better.
Thanks, everybody, for the Women's Soccer Show. I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie. Good night!
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.